Welcome everybody back to another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling on Leon the King TV. It's your host Alex, but I'm back here for another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. And today on Let's Talk Wrestling, we are going to be talking about Sasha Banks. Yes, the legit boss, the boss Sasha Banks. Um, I just want to do this video because I know a couple months ago, back in May, on Monday Night Raw, it was kind of announced that on the episode of Monday Night Raw, as we know, her and Naomi were tag team partners, and at WrestleMania this year, WrestleMania 38, they both won the women's tag team championship titles, therefore making them the WWE tag team champions. But it appeared a couple months ago, back in May, Sasha and Naomi had walked out, placing their titles on the desk in John Laurinaitis' office and walking out on Vince McMahon. So I think that Sasha and Naomi are pretty much gone from WWE at this point. I would say, in my opinion, Sasha Banks is definitely gone, of course, and her. I think that she probably was displeased with the company. She was displeased with how they were booking her and things like that. And I don't blame her. If you're not happy with where you're at and you feel like you're creatively not being used, not being pushed well, not being treated well, of course, first and foremost, then you're kind of in the wrong environment. And I agree a lot with Sasha Banks. I think that her leaving WWE, if she is released from her contract, then I think it was a good move. There's a possibility for her to go to All Elite Wrestling. If she goes to All Elite Wrestling, there's a chance that she could, face someone like a Jade Cargill, a Thunder Rosa, a Britt Baker. The women's division in AEW has some great talents, so maybe she'll fit in over there. Sasha and Jade Cargill is a dream mastermind. But anyway, um, those are just ideas and thoughts. She was in The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, so maybe there's a possibility she'll leave. She'll be through wrestling and go on to pursue acting. Maybe, who knows? Maybe she'll pursue an acting career. I could see her being like another Dwayne the Rock Johnson and pursuing film and television and stuff like that. So I think she may pursue an acting career. Who knows? But I just think that she did well in WWE. When you look at her overall championship victories, I want to go down the list of the championship victories she had. So let's check it out. Give me 1 second. She's a former WWE Raw Women's Champion, a former WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. She's got her title victories. Former, women's tag team champions. So, um, when she was the Raw Women's Champion between 2016 and 2017, after a hiatus, Banks returned to the WWE television early June and later reignited her feud with Charlotte over the WWE Women's Championship after an attack along with Paige on the June 20th episode of Raw. That led to a tag team match the following week on the June 27th episode of Raw, where Banks and Paige scored the victory following multiple attacks and matches between Banks and Dana Brooke. Banks and her mystery partner Bayley defeated Brooke and Charlotte in a tag team match on July 24th at Battleground, the pay per view. After being drafted to the Monday Night Raw brand as a part of 2016 WWE World Wrestling Entertainment Draft on July 19, 2016, Banks made her first appearance for the brand on July 25th, where she defeated Charlotte to win the WWE Women's Championship for the first time. On August 21st at SummerSlam, Banks dropped the championship back to Charlotte, ending her reign at 27 days. Around that time, the title was renamed the Raw Women's Championship following the creation of the SmackDown Women's Championship on September 25th. Charlotte successfully retained on October 3rd an episode of Raw where she defeated Charlotte in the main event to capture her second Raw Women's Championship. Banks challenged Charlotte to become compete for the championship in the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match at the Hell in a Cell pay per view in WWE. So when you think about all of her accomplishments and things that she's done, clearly you know Sasha Banks is one of the greatest one of the top female wrestlers today. You know, overall, if you think about in WWE on their current roster today, even though she's currently not with the roster, but as of lately in this generation of their new roster, I would say she's been top. She's one of the top on their roster, and I think that was on their roster. And it's a shame to see somebody like her go, but it is what it is. Some fans are disappointed. Some fans are happy about it because it could open up doors for her to go to AEW or do acting or do something else in the industry and the business. So who knows what she'll do, But I think acting in Hollywood and move film and television, I think that would be an upgrade for her from wrestling, and that would be a way to explore and expand her career more. So if you ask me, I think Sasha Banks leaving WWE is not so much a terrible thing. I actually think it's a great thing. We're gonna miss her, but it's great. As us WWE, us wrestling fans, obviously are gonna miss her in WWE. But there's other promotions in the business. You have All Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA Impact. All Elite Wrestling, AEW, Lucha Underground. So there's many promotions out there that she can work with and go to. If she wants to go wrestle back in the indies again, she can go wrestle back in the indie with the indie promotions. Something like a BPW or something, but who knows? Sasha Banks to me is great. You can't deny that. She's a half black African American mixed with a Mexican sister, and she can wrestle. She's talented. She's great. She's a sister that became a Raw Women's Champion. She's a half black sister that became a SmackDown Women's Champion. Raw Women's Champion. So you can't deny her talent. You know, um, when you look back at her story about how she dealt with depression and things of that nature, she overcame depression quite a few times in her life. So I really love Sasha Banks. She's great. I don't hate on her one bit. I think, yeah, she may have a cocky attitude and think she's the stuff and she's the greatest and wants things to be her way, but hey, when you think you're that good and you're that famous and you're that on top of the world and you're that much of a well-known person, then hell, I wouldn't mind acting like a diva and thinking that I'm the stuff and I want things my way. So she has the right. She's a woman. She's grown. It's her choice of how she feels. So that's up to her. But nothing wrong with that at all. So anyway, um, as we talked about Sasha Banks, I want to talk about other female wrestlers on this video as well. And the other female wrestlers were I never got a chance to finish my list of top 10 women wrestlers. So here we go. I started off saying Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus is one of the greatest former WWE Women's Champion. She dominated on Raw back in the 2000s during the Ruthless Aggression era. Trish Stratus is great. She's beautiful. She's talented in the ring. She's one of the best in-ring performers and workers and best female pro wrestlers of all time. And I have to give it to Trish Stratus. Number two, I'm going to go with Gail Kim. Gail Kim to me is great. She's a talented, Asian female woman who just wrestled. She made a name for herself back in WWE. She went on to TNA. She's currently retired, but she works as a TNA Impact producer. But I think Gail Kim is one of the greatest. When I mean the greatest female pro wrestlers, she is definitely on that list as number two, as one of the greatest female pro wrestlers ever. So I have to give it to Gail Kim. She kicks ass, but I love Gail. She works. She's a great worker. When you watch her matches in TNA with total nonstop action wrestling, Her matches with Awesome Kong. Gail Kim and Awesome Kong had an amazing rivalry back in the day. So seeing the matches she had with Awesome Kong and their history in the ring and their chemistry in the ring together is just so great. So Gail Kim is definitely on that list. Her being a former TNA Knockouts champion, and Gail Kim's great. Number three, I'm going to go with Victoria from WWE. Victoria also was signed with TNA after she left WWE, and she signed with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling years ago, and went by the ring name of Tara. Tara is to me one of the greatest underrated female wrestlers. I'm a huge Tara fan. She's drop dead gorgeous, very attractive, very beautiful, but she's great in the ring. She knows her stuff. She can work. She's a worker. And the whole gimmick she had with the spider and the tarantula and putting it on people or whatever it was, she was just great with her character in the ring. Her motorcycle entrance to the ring, that was just amazing. She had so much character. She was badass. So I loved Tara in TNA. So Tara would have to be definitely Victoria, whatever you want to call her. She would have to be like number three. Um, when you think about female wrestlers on my number fourth person, um, you really have to think. You think about a lot of names: China, Jackie, um, Kelly, Victoria. The name goes on and on. Gail Kim. It can go on and on. But in this fourth spot, I am going to have to go with the fourth top female wrestler on my list of greatest female wrestlers of all time. Hmm. I am going to have to go with, and this is not just in WWE, this is in pro wrestling in general with several different promotions. I would have to say Lita. Lita, she brought something to the ring. She brought so much great presence. She was a worker. I definitely have to give it to Lita. Lita, man, it just works. She's awesome. She's great. Lita is definitely on that list of top female wrestlers. She had this back in the day. I remember when she was in Team Extreme with the Hardy Boys. It was Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, and Lita. And all three of them made the faction Team Extreme. And they were amazing back in the day. But you have to give Lita credit. She had this tomboy punk rock gimmick, and it just worked so well in wrestling. It worked so well in the ring. Her theme music is badass. I can love her theme music. Oh my god, that like screamo theme she has, I love that theme. It's awesome. But I would definitely have to say Lita is on that list. Um, so shout out to Lita. Lita's great. Number five, I'm going to have to go with Mickey James. Thicky James, but we call it Mickey James. But anyway, Mickey James is great. She works. She's a worker. Another great worker. Like I said, former WWE Women's Champion, former Divas Champion. The woman is just talented. She's amazing. Her matches with Trish Stratus, of course, and Lita, and being on Raw back in the day. Her matches with like Michelle McCool. She's great in the ring to me. So I would definitely have to say number five goes to Mickey James. Number six, I am going to have to go with Alicia Fox. Some people may not know this, and it doesn't get enough recognition, but it should. But Alicia Fox is the first ever African American WWE Women's Champion. Some people say, "Oh no, it was Jackie." It was not Jackie. It was Alicia Fox. I remember watching wrestling years ago, and Alicia Fox was on. Alicia Fox was great. She's the first African American WWE Women's Champion, first African American, I think, Divas Champion. So you have to give her credit. Alicia Fox is great. Alicia Fox worked well in the ring. I personally thought she would have done great and better signed to, if she was on Impact Wrestling. I thought she would have done better on Impact. She would have been better in TNA. Her matches would have been good. I just think that she's great in the ring, but she would have been utilized so much better had she went to TNA years ago before she retired from wrestling, and I think she was great. So I miss Alicia Fox. I'm a big Alicia Fox fan, and she's very cute, by the way, too. So I'm a huge Alicia Fox fanboy. So yes. Um, Number 7, I am going to have to go with no other than Awesome Kong. When you think about the name Awesome Kong, you think about her in her TNA days with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Being a former, I think, if I'm correct, let me look it up, but I believe she was a former Knockouts champion. She was born September 4th, so she's a Virgo like me. I'm on August 31st, but she's a Virgo, so we're both Virgos. That's awesome. Um, she's popular in pro wrestling. She wrestled in Japan, and she's held numerous championships there. She was with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. She was worked with the Ring of Honor. She was with Shimmer Women's Athletes, All Elite Wrestling AEW, and no other than she worked in WWE under the ring name Karma. And I think that she did great. She later signed with WWE. Well, hold on. She began her professional wrestling career in 2002 after appearing on a reality television show. For the first 5 years of her career, she primarily wrestled in Japan and held numerous championships there. In 2006, she began wrestling in her native United States again, wrestling on the independent circuit before appearing on national television with TNA, where she was she was a driving force in the TNA Knockouts division. During her time with TNA, she became a two-time TNA Knockouts champion and a one-time TNA Knockouts Tag Team champion with Hamada, for another pro wrestler. She later signed with WWE, where she became the third woman to enter the Men's Royal Rumble match in 2012. I remember that. And she began making appearances for their upstart AEW towards the end of the decade. Awesome Kong ranked first in the inaugural list of Pro Wrestling Illustrated's PWI Women's 100 list in 2008. She retired from pro wrestling in 2021 and was subsequently inducted into the Impact TNA Hall of Fame. As an actress, she is best known for playing Tammy the Welfare Queen Dawson in the wrestling themed Netflix original comedy series Glow, which is actually a very good show if you have not watched it. But yes, so Austin Kong definitely makes number 7. I think that she is good. I give it to people, not so much people with look, but get people that have in ring talent. If you have in ring talent as a wrestler, then I give you that. So I think that Awesome Kong makes number 7 on my top list because she's great. I would have to put her on that list. Yeah. Number 8, I am going to have to name Paige. Paige to me is another reincarnated version of Lita. Lita Paige to me is just amazing. Her and Lita as a tag team would have been so awesome had that ever had that happened. That would have been so awesome. Just seeing the chemistry in the ring they both would have had, the matches they would have had together. It just, Paige to me was awesome. This is my house. She used to scream. She's awesome. So I have to give Paige credit. As number 8. Paige is on that list. You think about her matches too in WWE. Let's take a look. She has is an English retired professional wrestler. She is best known for her time with WWE, where she is a two-time and the youngest WWE Divas champion, as well as the inaugural NXT Women's Champion. She is the only woman to ever hold both Divas and NXT Women's Championships simultaneously. In 2005, at the age of 13, Beavis made her debut under the ring name Brittany Knight for her family's World Association of Wrestling promotion. She went on to hold several championships on the European independent circuit after talent scouting in England. WWE signed Beavis in 2011, and she began wrestling in its developmental systems, debuting on FCW, which is known as Florida Championship Wrestling, in 2012, and later going on a winning streak in NXT. In her 2014 debut match on the main roster, she won the Divas Championship at the age of 21, becoming the youngest Divas champion in history. In 2015 and 2016, Paige went on a hiatus due to injury undergoing neck surgery in October 2016. In December 2017, she suffered an impact injury to the neck at a match, preventing her from competing further. Paige formally retired from in-ring competition in 2018 due to an injury at age 25. She's a contributor to WWE-related programs and has fulfilled managing roles. Paige ranked number 1 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Female 50 and was named Diva of the Year by Rolling Stone in 2014. In 2018, she received the WWE Year End Award for General Manager of the Year in 2012. Channel 4 produced a documentary about Paige and her family, the wrestler's biopic Fighting with My Family, which was adapted into the 2019 feature film Fighting with My Family, which also starred Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So The Rock was in that movie as well. But yeah, I would definitely have to give Paige credit. She had great matches too. Her matches with the Bella Twins, her matches with AJ Lee, back when the Divas era used to suck. Just my honest opinion. But yeah, she wrestled during those days, and you know, she's definitely on that list as one of the top. I think. Sucks that she retired recently from WWE, but to me she's great, and I just think she has so much potential to even make a return back in the ring. I mean, I think Paige will come back to wrestle again eventually with WWE. I believe that. So she's awesome. So Paige makes that list. Number 9, I'm going to have to go with Michelle McCool. Michelle McCool was pretty good in the ring. Not only is she the Undertaker's wife, but she's just great in the ring. You think about her achievements as well. She is best known for her time with WWE, where she is a former two-time WWE Divas champion and a two-time WWE Women's champion. McCool originally worked as a middle school teacher in Palatka, Florida. She joined WWE in 2004 after participating in the WWE Diva Search. In an initial on-screen appearance, she utilized the character of a personal trainer before changing that into of a teacher. At the Great American Bash 2008, McCool became the inaugural WWE Divas Champion, holding the title for approximately 5 months. She then won the WWE Women's Championship at the Bash in 2009, becoming the first female wrestler to have held both titles. At Night of Champions 2010, she unified both titles, becoming the first and only WWE Unified Divas Champion. McCool held both titles on occasions, which makes her a 4-time champion overall. In November 2010, she was ranked number 1 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's female top 50 list, and she retired the following year in 2011. So McCool definitely is on that list as number 9. I think she's great. Um, her matches with like Maria and Mickey James, and like I said, back during that era, even with her being a tag team with with Layla, and they made Laycool as a tag team on SmackDown years ago. So you know, shout out to Michelle McCool. So the final number 10 top women wrestler on my list goes to Sasha Banks. And it all boils down back to Sasha Banks because Sasha Banks was great. She worked hard. She's a great wrestler. And I think that you just have to give her credit. But Sasha's great. You know, I think she's a great wrestler. If she ever has a future with wrestling again, somehow she's back in wrestling and active with it, with the sport and the industry, I think she'll do good. I think that there's a chance she could always go to AEW and make a name for herself there. But like you said, you know, if she want, I mean, once again, if she goes and does film, she does television or something else, I would not mind her being in that industry because I think as a film pop culture guy myself who loves film and television, and is a inspired screenwriter myself, Sasha Banks would be great in acting. She'd be great in film. She'd be great doing some projects. But acting is, I think, definitely for Sasha Banks. I could see that in her future. So it's whatever she wants to do that makes her happy, and however God leads her, I think that she'll have the best and be the best in whatever industry she's in. I think that if she wants to do acting or she wants to do wrestling with AEW or any other promotion, hell, she goes to All Japan, New Japan, Lucha Underground, All Elite. Wherever she goes, she's gonna make a name for herself because she's a big name in wrestling. And if had she not been a big name in WWE, we wouldn't know anything about Sasha Banks right now. So I think Sasha Banks, she put in the work and laid the groundwork in WWE for her to go in any other industry and make a name for herself. So I think Sasha Banks is talented. I'm a Sasha Banks fan. So that is today's episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. I'm your host, Leon the King TV. I'm your host, Alex, on Leon the King TV. This has been a Leon the King TV Productions. Thanks for watching Let's Talk Wrestling. And I will check you guys out. Stay blessed. Stay blessed. Stay positive. Live life. Be happy. Trust God. Put God first. Don't put your trust in man. Put your trust in God, because He is the way, and God loves you, and you should love Him as much as He loves you. So therefore, stay happy. Stay blessed. Stay positive. Live life. Be good. Be happy. Don't let nothing negative get to you. And join me later on tonight for another episode of Let's Talk Wrestling. Peace.